Hi all, this video is about pandemics that the world has gone through and how we can survive as human beings going forward. Please watch the video, and if you like the video, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's watch the video.
Let's start with what is meant by a pandemic. Everything starts with a disease, and then it turns to an epidemic, and then a pandemic. An epidemic is a disease outbreak that spreads across a larger geographical area than its anticipated endemicity. A pandemic is an epidemic that expands to more than one continent. An outbreak is defined as an unanticipated increase in the number of people who present with a health problem or the emergence of cases in a new location. Reasons for a pandemic to happen: 1. Climate changes. 2. Increased population. 3. Animal-to-human contacts. 4. Use of microorganisms as a biological weapon. 5. Poor health systems. 6. Global travel. 7. Urbanization. 8. Unbalanced ecosystems. 9. Biodiversity loss. 10. Polluted natural resources. Pandemics in history. Athenian Plague. The Plague of Athens occurred in 430 BC during the Peloponnesian War. Wartime overcrowding was found as one of the main reasons for the pandemic. The symptoms of the Athenian plague were rash, headache, and conjunctivitis, progressing to abdominal cramps and hemoptysis, eventually leading to death in 7-8 days in many cases. The plague killed around 25% of Athenians and people in the surrounding areas. As the war ended and people returned to more dispersed living patterns, the spread of the plague was likely reduced. Antonine Plague. The Antonine Plague occurred between 65 and 80 AD in Rome. Troops of Roman soldiers returning from Middle Eastern campaigns brought the disease to the country, and it spread into the entire Roman Empire. The symptoms, as described by Galen, a Greek physician, included rashes, hemorrhagic pustules, bloody diarrhea, fever, and sometimes hemoptysis. It killed almost 5 million people, including Marcus Aurelius, emperor at that time. The plague caused widespread death and had significant social, economic, and political consequences for the Roman Empire. Justinian Plague. The Plague of Justinian hit the Mediterranean and Europe in 541 AC. The symptoms of the Justinianic plague are believed to have included fever, vomiting, diarrhea, and the formation of buboes, swollen lymph nodes. The disease was primarily transmitted by fleas, which lived on rats and other rodents, spreading the disease through bites. Symptoms were those of infection caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. The plague of Justinian killed 60% of the Mediterranean world. Black Death. The Black Death was a bubonic plague pandemic that occurred from 1346 to 1353 in Europe, Asia, and Africa. It is considered to be the most fatal pandemic recorded in human history, with a death toll of around 200 million people. The plague caused massive societal upheaval, with widespread death, economic disruption, and changes in social structures. The cause of the Black Death was also found to be the bacterium Yersinia pestis. Antibiotics can effectively treat bubonic plague, but at the time of the Black Death, there was no effective treatment. The 7 cholera pandemics. The first cholera pandemic, also known as Asiatic cholera, began in 1817. It started in India and extended to Nepal, Indonesia, China, Japan, the Middle East, and parts of Russia. It was followed by 6 other pandemics, which happened in the period between 1827 and 23 and spread to different continents, including Europe and the United States. The 7th cholera pandemic, which is still ongoing, began in 1961. It is transmitted by the L-Tor biotype strain of Vibrio cholerae through contaminated water. The symptoms are watery diarrhea, often described as rice water stools, vomiting, and leg cramps. Dehydration, due to fluid loss from diarrhea and vomiting, can lead to rapid heart rate, low blood pressure, and dry mucous membranes. The first 6 cholera pandemics killed almost 1 million lives. About 1.3 billion people are currently at risk of infection from cholera. Spanish flu. The Spanish flu pandemic occurred in 1918. The Spanish flu was caused by a H1N1 influenza A virus, which is believed to have originated in birds. It is believed that the first case started in military camps in the U.S. The symptoms were sore throat, cough, pharyngitis, fever, myalgia, and prostration. The pandemic infected 500 million people and resulted in 50 to 100 million deaths worldwide. The pandemic occurred in 3 waves, with the second and third waves being particularly deadly. It had high mortality for young individuals, which was a unique feature for this pandemic. Asian flu. The Asian flu started in China in the first quarter of 1957. It was caused by the H2N2 influenza A virus, which was a subtype of the influenza A virus. The symptoms were fever, chills, or myalgia. The pandemic killed 4 million people worldwide. Hong Kong flu. The pandemic started in July 1968. It originated in Hong Kong and spread to other parts of the globe. The H3N2 influenza virus emerged, containing 2 genes from an avian influenza virus and 2 from the agent of the 1957 pandemic. The symptoms were fever, cough, sore throat, runny nose, muscle pain, fatigue, headache, vomiting, and diarrhea. It caused between 1 and 4 million deaths globally. HIV/AIDS. The pandemic began in the early 1980s. The human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, killed around 42 million people globally. A subspecies of chimpanzees native to West Equatorial Africa had been identified as the original source of the virus. The symptoms were fever, weight loss, fatigue, sore throat, lymphadenopathy, myalgia, nausea, headache, and diarrhea. It spreads through specific bodily fluids: blood, semen, preseminal fluid, rectal fluids, vaginal fluids, and breast milk. If the person with HIV has a detectable viral load, transmission can occur through sexual contact, sharing needles, or from mother to child during pregnancy, childbirth, or breastfeeding. There is currently no cure for HIV, but effective treatments are available. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. Severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, is a viral respiratory illness caused by the SARS-CoV-1 virus, a strain of the SARS-related coronavirus. It started in 2002. It was originated in Guangdong province in China. The pathogen causing the disease was identified as a coronavirus. Its intermediate hosts were bats, palm civets, and raccoon dogs. The disease spread to 28 other countries and is transmitted through respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes. It can also be transmitted indirectly through contaminated surfaces, such as those touched by an infected person. Its death toll was only 774 deaths. Swine flu. The swine flu is a respiratory disease in pigs caused by type A influenza viruses. It started in 2009, and the first cases were reported in Mexico and the United States. The virus spread to 22 countries in 6 weeks due to global trade and travel and had 3 waves in spring, summer, and fall. The number of people who died was around 15,000 to 25,000. The symptoms were high fever, cough, sore throat, myalgia, shortness of breath, and sometimes vomiting and diarrhea. Ebola. Ebola is a severe and often fatal illness caused by the Ebola virus. Fruit bats are thought to be natural reservoirs for the virus. It emerged in Guinea in 2013. It affected 28,000 and killed 11,000 individuals. Initial symptoms can include fever, headache, muscle pain, and sore throat. Later symptoms can include vomiting, diarrhea, rash, and internal and external bleeding. The Ervebo vaccine, RVSV-Zebov, has been shown to be effective in preventing Ebola virus disease. Species Orthoebolavirus xyrens. Ring vaccination strategies, where contacts of infected individuals are vaccinated, have proven effective in controlling outbreaks. Coronavirus disease. 19. Coronavirus disease, COVID-19, is an infectious disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The symptoms of coronavirus disease, 19, COVID-19, include fever, fatigue, productive cough, breathlessness, headache, anosmia, dysgeusia, and sore throat. The first case was reported to WHO from Wuhan on December 31, 2019, and it was declared a global pandemic on March 11, 2020. Virus transmission is widely accepted to be through droplets expelled by sneezing, coughing, and talking. It can also be found in body fluids such as blood, semen, and ocular secretions. Findings suggest transmission through the air. Globally, as of July 20, there have been more than 180 million confirmed cases of COVID-19, including more than 4 million deaths. As of July 21, a total of more than 860 million people are vaccinated to survive the pandemic. Economic impacts. As the primary action to control the spread of a disease, the individuals are advised to take quarantine procedures and get isolated from the people. The nations take lockdown to stop traveling worldwide. The production units take shutdown and put all others on survival with limited food supplies until there is no more fear of infection. All expenditures are carried out for the health system to provide health, facilities to infectious cases, and the arrangement of consumables such as antibiotics, medical supplies, and personal protective equipment. Pandemics can also result in declined tax revenues and increased expenditure, which causes fiscal stress, especially in lower middle-income countries. Pandemics cause widespread significant morbidity and deaths in a short period. Shortages of labor due to illness and the closing down of workplaces cause economic shocks in the global market. Global recession and decreased business in the services sector are also the economic consequences of the pandemic. Social impacts. The social impacts started when the schools, markets, and sporting events were closed. Many sports events were canceled worldwide. To control the spread, travel was difficult, and travel, including visiting families and carrying goods to markets, was restricted by military checkpoints. People cannot find necessary food and living things because the markets and shops were closed. This also caused a long-lasting change in people's diet. Events like festivals, concerts, sporting events, conferences, and community gatherings were canceled during the pandemic. People were facing depression and struggling to survive during these days. It spread a fear to live in the society with proper communication with each other. Now let's know how to prepare yourself to face a pandemic situation in different ways. What are all the things you have to do during a pandemic situation? How can you build up sufficient physical and mental strength? Whom do you depend upon for help? And how can you further handle these situations? How to face a pandemic. Get the right information about the pandemic. Always stay informed through reliable sources. Follow trusted sources like the WHO, CDC, or your national health authority. Pay attention to announcements from government and health authorities regarding the pandemic's status, new variants, and recommended actions. Be aware of rumors and misinformation on social media or unverified websites. Always verify the information with reliable sources before acting upon it. Restrict yourself from taking in news if it is causing anxiety, overthinking, and fear. Implement that preventive measures in real life. Always follow a good hygiene regime, like washing hands with soap and water or using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid touching your face, and cover coughs and sneezes using tissues and dispose of them properly. Disinfect surfaces where there is regular contact with the body. Wear a mask, especially in crowded or poorly ventilated areas. Maintain a physical distance of 1 meter especially when others are not wearing masks. Avoid crowds and close contacts. Stay home and away from others if you have symptoms. Follow guidelines for isolation or quarantine. Get vaccinated if a vaccine is available for the disease. Maintain physical and mental health to face a pandemic. Physical health. Maintaining both physical and mental health is crucial. The boost of the immune system of the body can resist the infection and withstand the minor symptoms without leading to death. In order to achieve it, it is recommended to follow physical activities, even in a confined space. Daily routines like eating good food in healthy quantities can support the immune system. Stay active with online exercise classes, walking, or home workouts, and do it regularly. Ensure you get enough sleep. Mental health. During these days, stress and anxiety are very normal. Understand and acknowledge the situation. Realize that the fear of getting an infection cannot help in any manner to survival. Seek support from mental health professionals if that is necessary. Practice relaxation activities like deep breathing or meditation. Always stay connected with friends and family through online resources while taking quarantine. Engage in hobbies which is favorite for you. Prepare, not panic. Ensure you've stocked medicines like a home emergency kit. Stock food and other supplies during lockdown for a few weeks. Have a plan for work, childcare, and communication if isolation is required. Always keep an emergency contacts list and public helpline information. Manage the financial part carefully in order to save money for necessities. Know and focus on what you can control. As a human, you cannot control a pandemic, but knowing the previously mentioned information can be useful to control yourself, and focusing on it can make a better life. Always try to support others during pandemic situations. Relax and recharge yourself for being strong enough to face it. Helping others. Always try to help your neighbors and family. Spend time with friends and family. Volunteering yourself can make a positive difference to people's lives. It will improve confidence. A voluntary organization is a group of individuals who come together to serve the public without pay. These organizations are typically nonprofit and may be formal, like NGOs, or informal, like community groups. The Red Cross is a global network providing humanitarian aid in times of crisis, focusing on disaster relief, healthcare, and social services. Doctors Without Borders is an independent medical humanitarian organization providing aid in conflict zones and countries affected by endemic diseases. Online volunteering organizations utilize online platforms to connect volunteers with opportunities to contribute remotely, offering skills-based volunteering and support for various causes. Trust in science and humanity. During pandemics, when there is an unknown virus causing death, then people try to judge and decide what is true and false. Turning to science and trusting the knowledge given by scientists plays a crucial role in one's decision and, ultimately, one's response towards these situations. Trust in science is one of the factors in adherence to prevention measures. People must trust in science and scientists to control the spread of infection when scientists advise following prevention measures like social distancing, wearing protective masks, sanitizing everything, etc. Lower trust in science leads to lower adherence to the prevention measures. When individuals trust scientists, their willingness to be vaccinated increases. Fear of getting vaccinated can come from thoughts about potential side effects. Vaccines can contain weakened or inactive pathogens. Vaccines stimulate the immune system to produce antibodies and develop immunological memory, allowing the body to quickly and effectively respond if it encounters the real disease in the future. People reject getting vaccinated because they trust that these inactive pathogens can become active and get the infection. Everyone must trust in science and technology in order to get enough confidence to carry these vaccines in their bodies to prevent further infection in the future. Faith in healthcare workers, scientists, and communities can make a new generation who can withstand the pandemics in the future.